Hello everyone, and here we go again. So, you might remember a long time back, around 7 months ago, if not more, there was a mysterious post on the Total War Reddit, which is still available, called Offline Interview for Future Warhammer DLCs, where they claimed that in Shanghai, China, there was an in-person interview regarding the future of Total War Warhammer 3. This looks to be more like a developer investor thing, but the very interesting thing is obviously there was information regarding leaks for Warhammer and its future, which doesn't seem like it's a lot of future. We're going to have to talk about this. We've discussed this in the past because every time there's information popping from Creative Assembly, it kind of proves certain things true, and then we just keep coming back to it. Now I'm slightly concerned. Okay, so now we have to talk about everything that's been confirmed so far. High Elves versus Norska versus Slaanesh was something that I think a lot of people didn't see coming, myself included. I wanted Dark Elves, Sea Lord Aisling, fine. The Merworm, fine. The Sea Elemental, that was when I started going, okay, this is looking a bit weird, considering that that was never really a unit on the tabletop, but it's fine, because at the end of the day, Sea Elementals were associated with Aisling and were mentioned in the lore, including that special unit from the 6th edition tabletop. Sail the Faithless, not a Norskin, so okay, that's stuff where I started getting a bit weird. The Cursed Etin has been confirmed, again, kind of linked up to the Norskin, so it's perfectly fine. What now has started hitting me the alarm bells is the fact that the Praeton has been confirmed. So, the Praeton has nothing to do with Slaanesh at all. I know they're looking at like big single entity monsters or whatever, even though the Praeton isn't really a big single entity monster. That was already really strange to me. So, between the Sea Elemental and the Praeton, I was like, okay, yeah, this is probably fake. And obviously it's not at this point. Which means what hasn't been confirmed so far is Caradhran of the Flame, the Sea Helm, Bjorg Bertsche, and the Dreadmore. Ultimately, it does look like this stuff might be there, because so far this leaker, Mysterious Attempt 6, has been proven right time and time again. The Sea Helm, is a no-brainer. It makes sense for the High Elves, it's attached to that. Caradhran, I guess, makes a lot of sense. There's not really a lot that can be done for High Elves for a legendary hero. Bjorg Bertsche, I think people said that they could see him in the trailer. Now, I'll be very honest with you, it's a 30 frames per second trailer. My eyesight isn't that good as it stands. I've not been able to see that much from that trailer. Not only was it incredibly just too fast, it felt kind of low quality compared to their other trailers, but just a lot of stuff is hidden away in fog. Some people have been noticing some new types of Norskin warriors, and have spotted like Ship's Company. Those are no-brainer units, I think, so yeah, that's perfectly fine. The Dreadmore being attached to that, they can be found in lore in the Northern Chaos Waste. It's just, again, kind of left fieldy, right? I think there's still a lot of monsters that they could have done for Norska to still have like that proper Warriors of Chaos Light thing that they've been going for so far. But most of the other stuff that hasn't been confirmed yet, and we don't know until, I guess, the 6th of November, until they start marketing properly, yeah, most of it seems like it fits. Again, the Praeton was the big left field, and the Sea Elementals. This does make me worried about the future, especially the comment that the Dogs of War has likely been killed is something that kind of scares me. First up, Bjorg Bertsche was just a regiment of renown for the Dogs of War. He was not a big name character or anything, so I don't think anything like that would say, oh yeah, this is being cancelled. We've had a few Dogs of War units slowly creep in before, and if the Dogs of War DLC has been cancelled, there's a few things that need to be talked about. One, what the fuck, because considering that that's the last official army book that we have for Warhammer Fantasy, it'd be a drastic shame not to have that done. Two, we know that they've already been developing stuff for the Dogs of War. So are they just canning stuff? Because a few, I think about a year, maybe even 2 years ago at this point, we found database entries for Borkio the Besieger and Lucrezia Belladonna. So those characters exist now. Work has likely been done. If there's database entries, that means that they've already started implementing them into game, because that's post artwork and post original core model design and stuff like that. if they've decided to stop the Dogs of War or shelve it, a lot of money in development has basically just gone wasted. which is not uncommon from Creative Assembly, as we are aware, £110 million or something on something else. It only makes me question what other stuff has been cut. Like, we know that there's been cut content for Warhammer 3 before, including development that was already started, because I think they're still in the game files, by the way. Unit cards for naval battles from Warhammer 1. Yes, there were naval battles planned for Warhammer 1, and there were unit cards. So if they've gotten to the point of unit cards, they must have been fairly far along. You've seen this before with Creative Assembly most recently showing off builds right before launch. Like, for example, I think it was during the Kairos rework where the Noblars just had like a, I don't know, Microsoft Paint unit card, but the unit was already implemented, animated and everything. So, yeah, cutting content like that is absolutely ridiculous. I really hope that that part is wrong. This is just like it's likely being cut rather than it has been cut. So, yeah. Now, I know a lot of people don't care about the Dogs of War, and to that I say, look, it's a cool faction. They could do something really cool about it with like roaming hordes being adventurers. We've even had mods in that style, so it could work very, very well. And they could have just like fleshed it out a little bit, done it as a proper race pack with a Southern Kingdoms faction for Tilia and Estalia, as we know more or less that Games Workshop might be leaning towards that in the future. It's just a matter of time for the Old World. But, and some people might go, oh, well, the Old World's a different IP, blah, 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 blah. It's just a bad argument. Look, we have the demons designed in the style of 40k and Age of Sigmar, not the Warhammer Fantasy versions. So that whole different IP is very pick and choosy. I'm starting to think that maybe that's not the case. Maybe Creative Assembly is just not fighting hard enough for certain things. What really confuses me, considering that the whole first section was ultimately correct from what I can see, is the inconsistency in roadmap, right? So section 2. Only 1 to 2 DLCs left between Sinesh and the End Times DLC. So we know that Neferata is likely going to be a DLC, and it's going to be a single thing between that. It's just going to be like a 1-character pack at this point. Then Beastmen will have 1 more DLC for Moonclaw, which is weird considering that the Praeton, which would have been like the standalone big unit for the Beastmen, is now a Sinesh unit. So what are they going to do for a big unit? There will be a DLC for the Monkey King and his own faction. That I'm expecting during the End Times. And there is a possibility for a Tomb Kings DLC, which, yeah, I could imagine a Tomb Kings DLC rather than just Nagash, and we'll get to Nagash in just a second during the End Time section. But again, that's like, well, maybe they've got plans for more, maybe they could have stuff confirmed, but then maybe stuff has gotten around. It's always very inconsistent. So I'm very confused. Now you're wondering, it's like, well, you're one of those good boy club content creators, right? Can't you ask CA? It's like, well, they'll never give an answer for this. And it's not like, oh, yeah, no, they'll give me an answer and I won't be able to speak about it. They just flat out will not tell content creators this. Maybe 1 or 2 content creators know, you know, those of the very special good boy club, I guess, if such a thing exists. But there has been some cases of, like, you know, some people knowing stuff earlier and it's caused controversies and so on, which has, like, fled onto the forums and shit like that. All that aside, it could just be that maybe the CA developers that were talking and leaking could have just not known what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if there is just no communication going on internally at CA, as it hasn't been going out externally too. So it could just be like there are plans and maybe it gets greenlit and maybe it just doesn't get greenlit. It's just one of those weird things. But we have seen ex-CA staff members really just bluntly saying there is no communication. Hell, you can see a lot of that during the Glassdoor reviews. And now the End Time section, which can be just down to good guesses and then maybe just like some weird stuff, because look, 5 faction pack DLC, yep, I can believe that. They've said that they're working on a DLC which is like the biggest they've ever done. Skaven, Empire, Cafe, Nagash, and Chaos all make sense. Well, Chaos would actually be more Nurgle, but yeah. My big question here is, first up, before we carry on to the other stuff, is when can we expect this? If it's taken over 12 months, keep in mind, for Tides of Torment, because this was supposed to be originally out before Omens of Destruction, meaning that work had been done on Tides of Torment for quite some time now. This is not going to be out next year, at all. Unless by some weird circumstances, the reason why Tides of Torment has been taking so long is because they've been pushing way too many people on the End Times DLC. I mean, all those factions seem more or less a dead ringer. The thing is here, it's the whole thing about they're testing gameplay and changes for the map for the final DLC. For example, releasing the Great Vortex will cause Orphan to disappear from the map, blah, blah, blah. So these seem like very big map changes. The only way I see this happening is if it's a brand new map. This is the only way. Because I've asked modders about this, right? I was like, hey, would it be possible? It's like, well, we don't know the exact extent of their tools, which means that maybe, but that sounds like it would be a lot of potential issue. Plus, it would be like forcing people into an end time scenario. So maybe they'll just do Realm of Chaos, Immortal Empires, and then, you know, the end times map. Just a copy paste, but with the tiling change. So yeah, maybe they could destroy Ulthuan. Maybe the Realms of Chaos can start popping in and out. It depends. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they're wrong there. Maybe it's just that simple. It sounds stupid to me. I don't know why. Just let's relive the end times over and over again. Vermintide does it, but you're like fighting to prevent it. This just seems like a massive amount of wasted dev time. So like, oh yeah, let's make Ulthuan disappear. I really hope this is just like some weird, like, oh yeah, you know, I'm already writing a leak. Let's just write some stuff that people can't believe so it can't be traced back to me type of thing, right? Because we have seen that before. I don't think it's been done for Total War, but like we have seen leakers in like Blizzard, Space, and just other big franchises where they'll write a pretty spot-on leak, but then they'll put like loads of ridiculous crap, which won't ever happen. But it stops them from being found out, I guess. And then the whole thing at the end of Avatar of Sigma, I mean, that's Volton. It's fairly certain that Volton is going to happen at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if Volton comes by himself just to kind of herald in the end times. Because like he's a Mary Sue, he is very popular. He's one of the best models in terms of look. Because like you had 3 different versions. Maybe they'll implement that. I don't know. As you can see, it's a little bit too on the nose for the first leak. So I'm already looking at the others going like, yeah. And then the third part there is just very on the nose with the factions. Like we can kind of expect all that too. CA will never publicly address this. It's just very odd that consistently the leaks are proven right again and again and again. The thing is, no Dogs of War will be a major blow to me, I think. Same thing as like there's a lot of possible DLCs that they could still do, and for some reason they're not going to. If these leaks are correct, maybe they do have a lot of plans and nothing got told in an effort of not saying too much. Even then, how does so much information regarding the next content pack come out? Who the fuck is leaking and why is this happening? We've had leaks like this in the past before. Keep in mind, during the DLC with the Beastmen, oh my god, the Silence and the Fury, forgot what it was called. All the unit cards leaked well in advance. Right? And I thought they were fake. You can even go back to my channel where I'm like, yeah, no, those are definitely fake. And it wasn't me like trying to like defend CA or anything. It was literally more the case of they look bad. The unit cards look bad. CA's unit cards have always been bad though, let's be honest. But I was like, no, those have to be modded cards, right? They don't look official. We'll have to wait and see ultimately. I just hope that it's not like the new games are going to come out and they're just going to keep ignoring Warhammer 3. We know some new games are going to get announced soon, but I imagine that those are going to be announced and not released. They're just going to try and build up the hype, because that's what they do sometimes. It takes ages before any gameplay and so on. But I wanted to talk about the leaks again because I just feel like it's important to remember that this existed. It's just very odd that it's so far proving true. I'm keeping this image saved because I want to wait until like the end times and so on. It's just to see how much it is, like how accurate this is. It's very odd that this has come out so far in advance, and yet they haven't decided, okay, let's change like 1 or 2 units so it doesn't look as on the nose. The Praeton would have been the big one for me there. I would have swapped it out for, say, for example, a Basilisk. Unless a lot of this stuff was done so far in advance that they've just been taking their time to get the DLC out. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. It's a very odd thing. We're just going to have to wait and see. But time will tell as we get closer and closer to the DLC's launch. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you all again very, very soon.